Hey everybody! So we're going to be kind of having a ballad of people talking tonight. We're going to be talking about loss, specifically with this virus, about how there's a lot of things that people are feeling lost in their life because of the effects of this virus and the different decisions that the government has made. People have lost their jobs. Lost family members, lost their ability to do things, their freedoms, being able to just simply go out and do what you want to do. Today I was looking about, all right, where do I want to go to eat? All right, well, where am I allowed to actually go in and get food? Those are things that I never thought we would ever have in the United States specifically. I mean, like, there's just so much going on. And then we're going to be talking about how through the loss that we feel in our lives, we see God work, and how we can see the hand of God in times of trouble, even clearer than we can in times of plenty and times of good. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And also, we're going to be talking about not downplaying your loss. You guys are dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of our seniors don't have graduation and prom.
Yeah, and I mean, they were expecting to have jobs too, so that they could pay for college next year.
Well, even just students, even not just seniors, it's students that have special things that they do in spring, whether it's sports or band or recitals or plays, programs. I mean, those are huge things that you can't do this year, and it's uncertain when we're going to have things. I don't know. They're talking about, I don't know if we'll have football, honey. I don't know what I'm going to do.
She's going to die.
That'd be bad. But anyhow, we're going to kind of tell our story of prior loss, when we truly saw the hand of God working in our lives. There was literally 14 months of chaos in the Sherwin house. And we're going to kind of walk through those steps and show you guys kind of what it looked like for us, and how God showed us different things and taught us different things, and worked through the losses that we had in our life.
It starts in October of 2015 was the first date. And that was when Jason's dad suddenly passed away.
So my wife Renee and I had gone to the movies, and we were sitting in the movies, and we got a call, and they said, "You need to come home quick." When we came home, the driveway was full of ambulances and fire trucks, and as we approached, they stopped us and they said that there'd been an accident, and my dad, I'm trying to think I think they said, "Your dad has passed away." And as Renee and I were walking up to the house, they literally had him on the ground, still working on him, trying to revive him. He was working under the car, and the jack stands and everything somehow failed, and the car fell on my dad. Well, as we were coming up, the people that were there, they said, "Come with us, your mom needs you." And that kind of helped, because my first instinct was to try to figure out what was going on and just, really, but instead by them saying that, I instantly went into, I got to take care of my mom. It gave me a thing I had to do, a purpose. A purpose. And when we got in there, it was kind of funny, because my mom was sitting there consoling the fire department people, telling them that it was going to be okay, and that God had taken her husband home.
And she talked about the peace that passes understanding, and how she felt that real. I remember seeing her telling you that Dad actually was gone, and watching her comfort you. And just her faith was just in that moment. You realized that it was real. Her relationship with God was real because she felt it and she knew God was there with her.
And she had the hand of God on her of peace.
Peace.
Because she was, I mean, that was her best friend. So it was.
Yeah, they got married at what, 16?
Yeah. Mom was 16 and Dad was 19. So he was kind of robbing the cradle.
Yeah, a little bit.
So Dad passed, and that was really hard on us, and specifically how it happened and everything, because it was so sudden. There was no, doctors saying, "Oh, he's got X amount of months to live" or anything like that. It was just he's gone.
And working on a car was something for people that didn't know him. I mean, he owned his own car repair, business, and working on cars. He'd done this his entire life, so this was not like someone that was inexperienced and. He knew all the things, so it was clearly God's timing. I mean, it couldn't be anything else.
Yep. So we had the funeral and everything. We went through that, and it was very comforting to see the effect that my father had on people's lives, and the impact that he had in the world for Christ. Such a powerful man of God, and so that was a hard one. We got through it, and we were like, all right, we still got Mom. We're gonna we'll be all right.
And she was real good about saying, it's had for how many years? 50 some years.
53.
53 years they've been married. It'd been her, Dean, and Jesus. And she says, now I have to learn how to be just me and Jesus. And that was a huge thing for us to witness her really working through that, and different parts of how she handled that, and how she used music like Spirit FM or Journey. Journey had come out about that time, and she had it all playing all the time on the radio at home. You'd come home and it was never quiet at home. She always had the radio going.
So we're gonna be kind of asking them to say stuff
if they want
to. I have them up here for more of the other stuff as well. Is there anything you guys want to pull out about?
Well, I didn't, because I was at a soccer game at the time, so I didn't even get a call or anything. I kind of we were on the bus trip, and then we got back to the school, and then I was driving home, and when I got home, I walked in and I see all of my family in pastor suit on the couch, and I'm like, what's going on? And you guys were like, sit down, we have to tell you something. I didn't cry or anything. It's not that it wasn't hard. It's just I saw my family was hurting so much, and I felt like the same response you had when they said, you need to take care, your mother needs you. That's the same thing I kind of had towards them. So I kind of pushed my grieving aside to really be there for my family. And that's the way I really was able to deal with the loss of my grandfather, was being there for my family, giving my mother a hug, and just kind of being with them.
Very cool. So yeah, we had that was pretty tragic, pretty quick. It was really cool. We didn't have a funeral for Papa. We had a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool. We had, I bet there was 500 people at that place.
Here in Litchfield.
That just kept coming and coming and coming and coming, and it was just awesome. And they were all laughing and telling stories about what crazy thing Papa had done to fix this. I mean, he was always fixing stuff for everybody. And
always whistling.
It was just neat to hear all of their memories. So we had that here. Then we went to Michigan and had another one there. So it was just a lot going on. I mean, it was just very, very busy. And so we had got back in town and from the services and stuff, and we were getting back into routine, and helping mom. And mom was doing really cool. She was
Getting involved in
Bible studies and really reaching out to other people that were hurting as well. And
in the summer, she usually would go back to Melanie's. We would fight over who got to keep Grammy and Papa both, but especially once Papa was gone, we were like, no, you can't have Grammy back yet. And so she would go back up to Melanie's in the summer. And so it was probably May sometime that she went up that year. And just wasn't feeling real good when she left, but went back up there anyway, and her health just kept kind of getting worse. She'd see a doctor up there, and things weren't right. And Melanie finally contacted us and said, okay, she really needs to see her doctors down here. I hate to have her come back in the middle of summer. It was like the weekend before we were supposed to go to Camp Snowbird.
And none of the doctors
could figure out
what was going on.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out. She was losing weight. Like, she lost like 30 pounds in like a month, and it was just, it kept going downhill really fast. And Melanie was very worried, and wasn't anything they could do up there. They really wanted her to go back to her primary doctor, which meant coming back here. So we met Mel and Tom halfway to Michigan. We met somewhere in Ohio, and picked Grammy up and brought her back. We had great friends. Kristen, while we were at camp the next week, Kristen Vaughn took her to the doctor appointments while we were gone, and Christina stayed home. I think that year you didn't go to camp with us. You stayed with Grammy that week. And so everybody filling in and stuff, and still waiting for results. So by the time we got back, I think at that point they're like, okay, you need to go to UVA. And things kind of just snowballed into it. They diagnosed her in August of 2016 with pancreatic cancer. They thought that they could, they're talking about lots of procedures, lots of things they could do, and they thought it was contained. And I said, if it's contained, we can do this Whipple procedure is what they called. And so they scheduled that for, it was right after Cola Wars. Like, everything's in a timeline connected to youth group. But Grammy came over and watched Cola Wars just before Melanie took her up to to UVA to stay the night. And then we were going to go up the next morning once the procedure started, so we could all be in. Jeff and Elaine were going to be there and everything. So we were all together. They started the procedure, got her opened, and then they called on the number at UVA in the waiting room and said we had to stop. It's wrapped around other parts of her body in that section, things we couldn't see, so we can't remove it. So the best thing they were able to do was just to close her up and then say, okay, we'll have to start chemo. So she stayed in the hospital a little while. They sent her home. And we kind of were like, okay, well, the next thing is we're going to fight this. She was okay with that. We're going to start the chemo. People are coming back and forth. Melanie had to go back. She was teaching and stuff. So my mom came down to stay with Ellen because Jay and I were both working and the kids were back to school, things like that. Christina, you were at college. That was your freshman year, right? In Liberty. And so, take some of this out.
It was throughout all of it. It was really interesting to see her attitude, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from the moment she found out what she had, like, normally people would freak out, they'd panic, and I never saw panic. Mm-hmm. I never once saw her worry. I never saw her afraid. I would come home and visit, and every time she would have her the journey on, the music on, and she'd be praising Jesus. And she would always, always, always speak truth into my life. Every single time I talked to her, it was always God. It was never ever about her or what she's dealing with. It was always, God is always good. It was always, always, always God. I can't even describe it any way besides that God was always the center of everything she did, everything she said, even in these moments where she could complain. She had every right to complain. She had every right to be angry, frustrated, or even angry at God, but she didn't. Never, ever once was she angry at God. That was one thing I admired about her, even more so when we went through all of this with her.
Yeah, I got something to add to that. Because Grammy was like my hype woman, not gonna lie. Because I would tell her like anything and she'd be proud of me. Like, I got like a C on this test. She'd be like, That's awesome. I'm so proud of you. And then, like, all throughout this whole thing, like, never once did she, like, let it affect the way she saw me or let it affect her relationships with anybody else. It was always, she was proud of all of us. She was there for all of us. Never, like, not even at the end of her life did it really affect her. It was just crazy to see her attitude towards us.
So from the day they said that she had cancer, it was only 3 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks.
It was about 3 to 4 weeks, and I was at work. Actually, I was out of town. I was like 4 hours away, and I got a call, and they said, I think it was your mom.
No, I
Was
had
it
to
you?
call you.
She said that Grammy had passed in her sleep.
But the neat thing is Melanie had called the night before. Christina was there,
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
was
right.
there, and my
Aaron
mom
was
was
even
there.
there.
Aaron was there. And we were just sitting visiting with Grammy, and she was getting tired, and she was talking to Melanie and telling her about her day and different things going on. And she told Melanie, and I remember this, it was so cool. She said, I love going to sleep because I feel so much better when I wake up. When I wake up, I feel so much better. And she went to bed that night and woke up in the presence of God. Her face, my mom called me at work and I came home and I got to see her. And there was peace. There wasn't pain. She had peace on her face. And so she went to see her Heavenly Father. And that was just such a joyful thing. To see that God just in his graciousness, and the coolest thing was is she passed away the day before she was supposed to start chemo. She never had to go through 1 ounce of the pain or the sickness and all the things that come with that. God spared her from that and just took her home.
And another thing that it reminded me that she said was, I understand why God took Dad so that he wouldn't have to go through watching her die.
Watching her suffer.
Yeah.
She said he couldn't have handled it. He couldn't have handled watching me suffer through this. I mean, that was right after the surgery failed, that they couldn't do it. That was her thought, was, wow, God put that piece of the puzzle together for her. That it was all part of his plan.
So, again, we had a celebration at both Virginia and Michigan. It was the same thing, just everybody just praising and giving God thanks for the life that she had. We're going to take a few seconds break, and we're going to come back a little stronger.
Well, I want to say one more thing. One more blessing that I had. The summer before Papa passed away, I had the opportunity to, out of the blue, it was the weirdest thing because it was a month before they were going to leave. He was like, hey, you want to come to California? And I was like, duh, like take me. And so they asked me to go to California with them, which was just like very random and really special. And so I got to go to California for a full week with them that summer before he passed away. And so it was just really cool to kind of just get to see a new side of them and really get to love on them. And I took so many pictures, and all of the pictures I took, we showed at the funeral because they were pictures of them at the chapel where they got married and at all these different locations that meant so much to them. And so it was just really cool for me to get to see a part of that and then be able to share it with our family and stuff. When they passed away, I was able to share those pictures, those memories that I had gotten to make with them. So that was just a really cool blessing that God had given me.
Very cool.
Anything else to add?
Just that my last memory of them together before Papa passed was them taking me to a soccer game.
Oh, that's right.
And that was the last memory I had, was them taking me to the soccer game that I was going to go to. And then I came back from that soccer game. And then, Papa passed.
So it's just kind of cool that God gives us those special memories, like to find good in these hard times, to remember to find those special moments that God gives you. Because I mean, Grammy even said that week before was one of their most special moments together. I think, was it
It was their
It was
anniversary.
their anniversary. So they were doing all these special things together, and it was just, Grammy said it was one of their most special weeks they'd ever had. That God had given her that last special week before he passed. So it's just cool how God gives us these little joys in the midst of hard
I
times.
still remember their 50th anniversary, like when they got remarried.
That's right, yeah.
Got renewed the vows at the Fountain Lake and
Lots of amazing memories.
All right, so we're going to wrap this portion up. This is going to be a two-parter, so you get to hear the next big event that happened in our life and how, again, we saw the hand of God work miracles. But what we're wanting to really get you to stop and think about is, yes, it's crazy here. This virus and stuff is going, it's really hitting hard. But we always can look to see when other people have it worse than us. There's always somebody that has it worse than you, and we need to be encouraged that God's taking care of you. And he's got his hand in everything. I look at my parents' life and I see how God worked in their life, and God gave them opportunity to reach out and affect so many people. To see the amount of people that showed up, and just to hear the stories about how they mentored and how they took care of other people in their lives. And so we need to be showing God's love specifically during this time. We need to be letting people know that God's got the answers.
your mom had a verse that she claimed in that time period between when Papa died and when she got cancer. And it's Philippians 1:20-21. And it says, "For I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Christ as I've been in the past. And I trust that my life will bring honor to Christ whether I live or die. For to me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better."
So true. So look for opportunities to help others. Try to be encouraging. And
be bold.
Be bold, yeah. And we'll get through this together. We're going to go ahead and pray and end this segment. Hey, God, we love you. Thank you for giving us opportunities to talk about you, giving us tools like YouTube and the different things that we're able to use to get the word out, to spread the word, to tell others about how awesome God is and how amazing we can see his hand in everything that we do. God, we love you. Thank you for all that you've done for us. In your awesome name we pray. Amen. See ya.